What, are you seeing what I'm doing right now? It's ridiculous. I literally just one-shot that guy. Look how much damage my melee is doing. 3 different Genji builds today, and I want to try to figure out which is the definite meta build. So we're going to try attack power and attack speed first, and then I want to do ability power build, and then I want to do a melee build. So I think we're going to start off with our first power for this attack speed build with cybernetic speed. Dealing damage with shuriken grants 2% shuriken attack speed for 3 seconds, staggered to 15 times. I mean, that just makes sense, right? The more you attack, the more you're going to do damage. Of course, more attack speed, duh. I'm a big fan of Frenzy Amplifier. Eliminations grant 10% attack speed and 15% movement speed for 3 seconds. And then we're going to get some weapon power, so we do some more damage. You can go with attack speed here or weapon lifesteal. It's really up to you. For this build, I think I'm going to go with weapon lifesteal early on. But I do think your team doesn't really heal you that much when you play aggressively in Stadium. And having that extra weapon lifesteal really does go a long way. So I think pretty much every single one of these builds does take like 2 or 3 rounds to really get online. So honestly, most of these rounds don't really matter. So we'll just try to... Our main goal in these rounds is to just try to farm as much money as humanly possible so that we can get ahead of the other team members or other opponents and have better items before them. Because this Stadium does have like a MOBA effect where you do kind of like power scale faster than people, and like there's a term in like League and in MOBAs that is like, oh, I'm fed right now, right? And that kind of does exist in Stadium. If you have 20,000, 30,000 more dollars than your enemy, you do have like more purple items, and that is gonna carry you a long way to just having more damage overall. I do like to play Genji in third person. I think first person is good in Stadium for like hit scan characters and whatnot. I really do believe that Genji gets advantages from third person. I think he sees more of the map, and you can make decisions easier just because of the higher FOV. I think especially blading with Genji in third person, it just makes him so much stronger. If these games are stomps, I'm not going to be able to get good footage of the games. We might have to do it again. I could just sell all my items here and jump immediately to a purple item, which I don't think is a terrible idea to do for the most part in a lot of these games. I think I'm just going to keep Frenzy Amplifier for now and look for 2 blue items here. I have $9,800. I do think Talent Modification Module, just the fast 50% weapon power is probably the way to go here. And then get the 10% attack speed. You could I think you could either go with Stockpile or Aftermarket Firing Pin, because I think both are pretty good. It just depends what you want. I personally don't think I need the max ammo on Genji, so I usually go with Aftermarket Firing Pin just to get the 5% movement speed, because I do think the movement speed is important. I think builds do change from time to time, but I think the core values of each build will stay the same. Like, for example, no matter what Genji build I'm using, if I'm playing against Zarya, I have to get the Beam Deflect perk. Oh, shit. Stop the res. Where is my team? This is crucial to all Genji builds that you blame your team, by the way. All good Genji players blame your team. Well, I think people have tried to stop denying res in this game mode because she has so many perks that like make her have God mode during res. And I do think in all of these builds, you should try to get some armor items, because eventually you're going to play against some players that know how to hit shots. See, we're doing great damage with our right click. Honestly, the attack power and attack speed build isn't played any differently than like normal Genji, really. Like, you kind of just play him the exact same way that you do in the normal game, because you're still the same Genji. You just have more damage and more attack speed. And I do think this build is probably the most consistent build, because like there's like nothing bad about it. Like, yeah, you're doing more damage, you're doing more attack speed, right? Primary fire throws 2 additional, so it would throw 5 of them. I don't think I've ever used that. I'm gonna try it. Now we could sell our blues here and look for, or we don't need to sell our blues. We should have just kept them. I'll just keep them again. And then we're gonna look for our first purple here. I think you should just go for Eye of the Spider here. 25% weapon power, Dragon Blade, and Shuriken, and you deal 10% increased damage to enemies below 30% life. That makes you just so OP because you're already doing so much damage with your attack power. By the time you land one right click on a squishy character, especially if you headshots, they're already below 30% of life, which immediately gives you 10% more increased damage. I think Eye of the Spider is great.
Do you think there are good survival powers that are worth grabbing?
Yes, I think survival perks are always worth grabbing. Right now, like I said, I do think Stadium is a unique game mode where you could really like push your boundaries in this game. And right now, their team very obviously isn't really slowing me down or really putting up much of a fight. So I'm just not going to really get survivor stuff right now or survival stuff right now and just go full aggressiveness. If they do start giving me a problem and start doing a lot of damage, that's when I'll start getting shields and more armor. But man, like, look how much damage I'm doing. It's going to be hard for me to lose. Like, the attack, I think the attack power and attack speed build is the build that comes online the fastest. Like, pretty much by round 2, you're already doing great damage and more damage than most of the players in the game. Like, I'm barely hitting these shurikens and I'm just doing so much damage. So I think for everyone that's doing the attack power and attack speed build, there's nothing wrong with that. And I encourage every single person to experiment. I was playing with a couple people in Stadium the other day, and they were just playing the exact same builds over and over again. And I think that's the way you're going to bore yourself with this game mode. Experiment, dude. Do dumb stuff. Do fun stuff. Like, literally, like, melee-only builds. Like, I don't care. I would just say try to experiment as much as possible. Again, don't forget, a lot of people think... Oh, snap. A lot of people think that your blade pairs with ability power because it's an ultimate, but it actually pairs with a weapon power. So the more weapon power I'm getting on this build, the more damage my blade is going to do. And I'm probably not going to be able to show it. But once you get more attack speed, you're going to be able to do so much damage. Blade scales with weapon power and melee damage, correct. Oh, we did Mercy Rule them. Perfect. We have another round. I'm just doing the build that I believe is the best here. Because you saw how much damage we already have, I'm going to go ahead and get Booster Jets because I really enjoy that build, or enjoy that item. The instant 20% attack speed. And then I love having movement speed on Genji, because when you dash, you can move even closer to them or use your movement speed to get out. So I'm going to go Booster Jets here. And then I think it would be okay if you wanted to sell these blue items for something a little stronger. I think I'm going to sell Frenzy Amplifier as well. You can't see it, but I have Booster Jets and Eye of the Spider. I think at this point, I would 1,000,000% get Enduring Edge. Another 10% weapon power. And then 4 extra seconds on Dragon Blade. Blade pairs with weapon power. So now I have 25% weapon power. Plus, when they're below 30% life, I get 10% increased damage to enemies. And then 20% attack speed, which makes my blade swing faster. And then I have 10% more weapon power and then a longer blade. So I'm going to have so much damage outside of my blade. I'm going to have good movement speed. I'm going to have good attack speed. And then on top of that, my blade's going to be even longer and it's going to swing even fast. Like, look how fast I'm attacking. This is ridiculous. I got slept because I stink. The build is pretty much always online after round 2, but this is where I really feel like it's online. Eye of the Spider, Booster Jets, and Enduring Edge. I feel like once you get those, you're good to go. And everything else is pretty much your preference. Like, if you want to get a little tankier, if you want to say fuck it and go Glass Cannon, just even do even more damage. If you want to get more, if you feel like you're doing enough damage, but you want to, if you want to shoot even faster, you can do that. It really just depends on what you want to do, but I think these core items are what's most important. I do like the power that I got, the Sacred Shuriken. Fire 2 extra shurikens. I think it's good for poke damage. So I'd say that the downsides of this build is that you pretty much do like 0 ability damage. Like, I just look at the Mercy's health bar after I just dashed into him. Your build is real. Your abilities are really just used for survivability and movement on this build. You pretty much get not much value out of your dashes. But man, look at the blade damage, bro. And look how long the blade is too. Once you get blade on this build, it's just over for everybody. That blade lasted a fucking century, man. Like I said, just the downfall of this build is if you're a Genji who likes to clean up kills using his abilities and have fun dash damage and doing dash damage, I think this isn't for you. But if you want to just attack, have crazy attack speed, do crazy burst damage to tanks, melt their squishies, either the attack power and attack speed build is the way to go. We're going to do the melee build here. It's basically melee attack power build. And because of the way that Genji's buffs work, and because Dragon Blade scales with attack power and melee damage, building around melee damage and attack power makes your blade so strong, and you do so much damage with your melee. If you get a couple items that make your build all come together, it becomes so strong. So the first power you want to get for the melee build is Hidden Blade. Gain 50% melee lifesteal and increase quick melee damage by 25. So we're going to start off here with a simple build. It's not anything crazy. We're just going to get, we'll get Armored Vest and then Compensator and then Plasma Converter. Pretty much the default stuff you want to get on Genji. You don't have to get the armor if you don't want to, but I like to. The Deflect Blade perk is really strong with this build as well. Because melee damage pairs with Dragon Blade, you can use the Hidden Blade thing and allow you to do so much damage with a fast blade. And it's really important for this build that you practice weaving in melees in your kills. If you notice, I'm meleeing constantly. Look at that. So much melee damage. Got to a blade. Guy's chasing me because he knows I'm a streamer. That's okay. I don't blame him. He's on stream. Nice. This is actually a really good game. I'm glad that we got a good game for the melee build. If you can't tell because I'm in third person, I'm basically meleeing after like every right click that I hit. I almost melted that guy. I almost one-shot that guy with my melee. Again, this build takes like literally 1 round to get online. As long as I made enough money for Ambush's Optics, I should be good to go. Like I said, a lot of these builds, obviously, like no build is good round 1 unless you're playing like some crazy like Zarya build or something. So right away, we're gonna need Ambush's Optics. So immediately, our melee is gonna do a ridiculous amount of damage. And I think you can go ahead. Now, I think you just keep Compensator for now. And then get Armored Vest. So right now, I have Ambusher's Optics, Compensator, Plasma Converter, and Armored Vest. I know you guys can't see it because of my camera, but that's what I have. Just to remind you guys what the build is. I gain 50% melee lifesteal and increase quick melee damage by 25. And now Ambusher's Optics does 25% more melee damage, and I can crit from behind if I dash behind them and get a quick 180 melee. It'll crit them, and I can pretty much one-shot them. And then the longer the game goes, and the more I can build up my weapon power and critical damage, it's going to make my melee do insane amount of damage. So the next 2 purple items that we really need is the closer, and then Enduring Edge. The reason you get Enduring Edge is because Dragon Blade scales with melee. So after we have all of the melee things, our Dragon Blade is going to do an insane amount of damage plus the weapon power that we have. So if we have a 10-second Dragon Blade, we're pretty much going to cook the entire team. Look at that. I melted that guy. Melted that guy too. Look at the melees. Look at the melees. All melee kills. If you can get in the right spot to hit these melees, the build is ridiculous. And it does, honestly, this build does take a little bit more mechanical skill than others. It does require you to know how to understand how to do the 180 like melee combos, which isn't hard to learn. For me, it's easily the strongest. Got it again. And then my blade is even stronger now too. Back up just to live. Now we'll look for another assassination attempt. I missed the melee on his back, but that's okay. This build does not fall off. It does not. Never. Because it scales with the rest of the game. Easily. Like, you'll see, I have way more items that is going to make me even stronger. And once I get... What? Are you seeing what I'm doing right now? It's ridiculous. Look how much... that was all melee. I missed my right click. So, again, when I melee someone in the back, it does critical damage, right? And because I have the melee power, I'm doing even more damage. I'm dash 180 turn, right click melee every time. So here is where you really come online. Ido Strike, like I said, Dragon Blade scales with melee and weapon power. And because we have so much melee damage and weapon power damage, every time we deflect our Dragon Blade, now after all of the crazy melee damage we're doing, just with our melee, we can use our deflect and get a free Dragon Blade that is going to do insane amount of damage. So the next really important item that you want to get, chat, is the closer, right? And the reason you want to get that is because of Ambush's optics. Quick melee can critically hit when striking enemies from behind, dealing 50 increased damage. You guys already saw how much damage I was doing with melee because of the crit. And now on top of that, I'm doing 10% more damage because of the crit, which is even crazier. And you could sell a couple of your greens and look for some survival things here. I think a lot of survival things are really good for this this build because you're not really doing a lot of like weapon damage. You're doing a lot of melee damage and you really need to get in there. So I think having some survivability is really important. You could probably get this one, the Mecha Z series. It really depends what you want. I think I'm just going to stick to what I had right now already and then just get normal shields and armor. But it really just depends what you want. But these are the most important things that you need. Like, these are the core elements of the build, which is Hidden Blade, Ido Strike, the closer, and Ambush's optics. When I melee is similar to Rhine Swing, where it has a lingering hitbox. So when I melee, I like do this almost, right? Like I swing my mouse around so that I really just try to hit it. All right, I'm gonna go in here and try to make a play. We'll go for a quick melee and then a deflect kill. Got him. I literally just one-shot that guy. Look how much damage my melee is doing. I have a feeling that if you have the melee build, you'll always be looking for the melee, no? Yeah, dude, if you have the melee build, you're looking for a melee. What kind of question was that? If you have the ability power build, you're always looking for your dash ability too. Oh, bro, this Mercy's movement is crazy. I almost one-shot him with that melee. Nice. Good round. Good round. Good round. Now there's some good survival perks here for the melee build as well that I haven't really dove into that too much. I'm gonna get Gloom Gauntlet here, so we get 15% more melee damage, and melee damage grants 10% movement speed and restores 5% max life for over 2 seconds. Plus we get armor. That's a win-win ability. I would actually believe that that is a core item because it makes you tankier, even more melee damage, and yeah, I mean, you're just doing more damage overall. And go ahead and try to get Talon Modification Module just to get 15% more. And then just get Compensator for fun. Actually, I'm going to get Armor. Now, we're pretty tanky. We have even more melee damage. I think what's going to happen is a lot of people that are watching this video are going to try this build and not like it because they're going to struggle with the mechanics of it. And I completely get that. Look for a blade. We have a really long blade here as well. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. We are absolutely melting with our blade, though. I mean, I got stuck there. There's nothing I can do about that. Has nothing to do with the build. The game sucks. Oh my lance, I get one shot at. Wait, what? I just popped my blade and it went away. What was that? What? I bladed and it went away. I'm gonna get Hanamura healing here because I'm just dashing in pretty much, like doing crazy stuff with my melee, and I think it's gonna help a lot. At this point in the build, you can really get whatever you want. I say you just go ahead and get Enduring Edge now, because you want the longer Dragon Blade duration. And then at this point, you're doing so much damage and so much melee damage that I think it's really important that you have survivability. I'm going to convert 100 health into armor and then get some more armor for fun. Pretty much the full build is pretty much done now. You see Hanamura, or you see Hidden Blade, Ido Strike, Closer, Ambusher's Optics, and then the rest is whatever you really want. The Gloom Gauntlet is really strong though. Dude, I'm not even going to try to kill this Mercy anymore. Look how much damage that did, dude. See, now my blade, because blade scales with melee damage and weapon power, we are just doing a ridiculous amount of weapon damage, or melee power with my blade. Owned. Basically right there was the combo. I dashed in, got a crit melee, and then looked for the easy blade. Nice. Own. Good shit on. GG easy, GG easy. So we're doing an ability power build this time, which is mainly centered around dash, of course, because that's your main ability power. So I think we're going to start off with Laceration here. Swift Strike deals 25% additional damage over 3 seconds to enemies hit. I think that's going to do really good because it's going to scale with our ability power. I don't think you need to all in on ability power early game. I do think you want to get some survivability, especially because you're going to be dashing in there. And after your dash, you're not really going to do much damage. So I like to go with Power Playbook here, 10% ability power. And I like to get Armored Vest, just some armor to like help you just stay in the fight. And then I'm going to get Weapon Lifesteal, because you need more healing over time. Obviously, ability lifesteal is really good, but how often are you going to be able to Swift Strike and get that 10%? When you could dash in, get the 10% ability power damage, and then spam your right click for the 10% weapon lifesteal over and over again. So I start off with these 3 perks. I will say, chat, I think I've tried these builds before, of course. I played Stadium like all fucking month. I think the ability power build is my least favorite build on Genji, but I definitely think it's not bad, and you can definitely make it work if you get the right build going. Like I said, if you're watching this on YouTube and you have any takes, if you have any opinions like L take apply, you are a dumbass. Don't be afraid to comment that. I won't be sad or upset at you. I think Stadium is a brand new game mode where things are going to develop, obviously, and new things are going to come out. And, yeah, I'm sure you guys have good ideas. I actually think the ability power build is the build that has the longest amount of time needed to come online. Just chill here. Don't really need to do too much. Nice. Nice, we just dominated them. Honestly, people do like traversal kinetics. Swift Strike cooldown is reduced by 50% if it deals no damage. I don't really like that one. I feel like for the most part, you should try your best to hit your dash. So I think right away, you should just try to go for a Nano Cola. 20%. Actually, hold on. I actually think right away, instantly, I'm a big fan of selling every single one of your items and going for clean sweep. 10% ability power, 15% ability lifesteal, and 50% swift strike width. That's going to allow you to dash multiple heroes way easier, and then proc the 15% ability lifesteal on way more characters. And then that's pretty much going to be your only purple going into round 2. You don't have to do that, but that's what I like to do. You could just go for Nano Cola there and then keep your shields. That's really up to you. This is just what I like to do, and I remind you guys, these are my builds, not like the definite best build, but the builds that I've had success with. We melted that guy. Our dash is starting to do so much damage, and we're getting so much lifesteal from dashes as well. And the dash width is actually allowing us to dash through like everybody. I prefer third person on Genji, but I prefer first person on FPS. Going forward, because we're doing the ability power build, I do think that you can get Worm's Maul. Targets hit by shurikens take 10% more damage from Swift Strike for 4 seconds, down to 5 times. I think that's really strong against tanks especially, and tankier DPS. But I also think you can go with Hanamura healing here. Critical hits and Swift Strike grant overhealth equal to 25% of their damage dealt. I think it really just depends on the situation. I think either of these are good picks. If you want to do more damage, you go with Worm's Maul. If you want to do Hanamura healing, you can get a little bit tankier and have more survivability when you dash in. Spirit of Sajiro is pretty good, but I'm not a big fan of that one. Deflect stops incoming damage reduced by cooldowns. It's like bugged sometimes. Doesn't really work all the time for some reason. I'm going to go with Worm's Maul here. I think I'm going to go ahead and just get Nano Cola here. Just a little bit more ability power. And then I'm going to get Armored Vest. So now we have 30% ability power going into this next round, round 3. Like I said, I think that ability power build is the worst build that we're going to be testing today. And not that I think it's bad in any regard. And I want everyone to know that you should try every single build because it's fun. But I think because of the way ability power works and you need to play in bursts and only really play off of your dash, it really puts you into a one-dimensional area of gameplay where you only do damage with your dash. I think that makes it like the worst build out of the 3 we're trying today. But I still think it can be fun, especially if you go really late game. Like if you're in round 7 and you get like your 80% ability power, you start doing crazy amounts of damage. He got his grab eaten. That's embarrassing. Like I just did. I right-clicked that guy and I healed him, dude. Even my blade's not doing much damage. Yeah, I mean, I think something I'm missing in this build for sure is the cooldown reduction. But even then, when you get cooldown reduction, it takes way too long to get the cooldown reduction enough for you to have like a permanent dash for the ability power build to really be useful. I think for a build to be good, it also needs to be really good early game. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sell my shields here, and I'm going to pick up Icy Coolant just because it's the easy 10% weapon power that we were getting from the other thing anyways, and get 5% cooldown reduction. And then I think we'll just go ahead and get more armor just so we're a little tankier. And then we can get Compensator just so we get a little bit more, or not weapon power, sorry. We can go ahead and get Power Playbook just to get the extra 10%. So now we're at 40% ability power. Wait, actually, I don't need this. I don't know why I got Icy Coolant. I'm trolling. I meant Multi-Tool. Actually, let me think about this. Hold on. What could we get here? I think I'm least well-versed in the ability power build. I guess we can just get Multi-Tool, or maybe Energize. I don't like the cooldown reduction because it really doesn't do much. I really like to just stack ability power and lifesteal just for the survivability, because I'm going to be dashing through people, and I feel like just getting more damage and more lifesteal is just the way to go. You know, I actually think that a good replacement for this build would be the power that gives you dash back on deflect. I actually think that would be a really good one, and I should try that in the future. I'm not going to try that in this video, but maybe I'll make another one with it. It's doing good damage, though. Because I feel like if I dash in, look for a deflect, and I get good deflect damage off, it might actually just give me my dash back. I think this build would be a lot better if I didn't get Worm's Maw. And instead I got the overhealth perk, but I wanted to just try out Worm's Maw for the sake of things. What a bomb! Boom! Rather die. I might have missed like 3 right clicks there, but let's not talk about it. We're just not doing enough damage to like warrant this being a build, dude. I mean, it does good damage overall, but like, how do you? I think if they want ability power to be a build, like if Blizzard wants ability power to be a build, I think ability power needs to scale with Blade. So that concludes the ability power segment. I think overall that was pretty boring probably to watch because I just don't think the build's that good. I'm sure I missed out on some items and people in the YouTube comment section are gonna be like, apply, you are brain dead. This is the ability power build. Let's talk about all 3 builds. I think overall the attack power and attack speed build is probably the most consistent and easiest for players to play if they just want to jump in and win a game. It does the most damage with your right click. You can melt people easily. It has good survivability. Your attack speed, it blows up tanks. It's basically like normal Genji in the game, but stronger. That's it, pretty much. I think ability power overall is the worst build. I think that you just have too much downtime, and the fact that ability power only affects dash is a really bad debuff. I think if they want ability power to be good in this game, they needed to scale with Dragon Blade, but because Dragon Blade scales with weapon power and melee damage right now, ability power is just not worth it. Like, why would you spend all of your money on an ability power when it only goes into your dash? I think in this video or in this segment, I did fuck up like the ability power build a little bit. I could have got a little bit more cooldown reduction, but even then, I feel like if you're all ending on cooldown reduction, very often you're not going to even do enough damage for it to really matter. You're just going to dash and do no damage. And then we have the melee build, which is my favorite and I believe is the best. It's just the hardest and the highest skill floor to use. I think it has the highest burst damage. It does probably take the longest to come online as well, but I think if you saw a few of the clips that played during that game, I think you can tell what I mean by how strong it can really be. If you can practice that build and get really consistent at it, I mean, I don't think anything can really stop it because it makes your blade strong. It makes your right click still strong because you're still getting weapon power, so your right click is even stronger. It's all around so good. Because you need weapon power, melee damage, which gives your blade, it makes your blade stronger, makes your right click stronger, makes your melee stronger. Overall, it's making your character stronger just more in general. So if I had to rank the 3 that we tested today, chat, I would say number 1 is a melee for the strongest, but I can definitely understand why it would be the hardest to use. Number 2 is the attack power and attack speed build because it's the most consistent and the easiest. And I think anybody could pick it up. I'd say if you're learning Genji for the first time in Stadium, to just try the attack power and attack speed builds. And then third is easily the ability power. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. I won't bite you, or maybe I will. I don't know. I'm a biter, low-key. Let me know if I missed any powers or anything you think I should change in the build, and maybe I'll do another video for it. But yeah, I think overall this is a pretty solid, like I think segment. I think it was good.